not even supposed to be here today.
And welcome to this week's episode of Dispatches from Shedquarters. I am your host, Mike Lutz. Let's get this out of the way. Oh, yeah. Today's beer is a Dubbel Tonsure from Sons of Kent. I think it's a limited edition one. Let's give it a try. Oh, that's good. That's good. So, I would like to thank everybody for taking the time out and making my first episode of Dispatches from Shedquarters of kind of a rollicking success. I did not expect the response that I got for the show, being that I released it with zero warning or fanfare or prep of any kind. I said just that day, last week, when I just sat down and I hit record and I started talking. I do have to thank Stephanie Barty and David K. Montoya for helping me see that I needed to do something like this. This podcasting is something that I've done for a while, and I hadn't done it in about a year after I walked away from the World of Myth Bits podcast that I turned over to Stephanie. And it just felt like I didn't have an outlet. And she and Dave basically told me I needed to start podcasting again. And to them, I raise my beer and I say thank you and cheers. Oh, Sons of Kent makes good beer. If you're in Chatham or anywhere near Chatham, or I think they sell some of the stuff at LCBOs around Ontario. Oh, by the way, I'm not being sponsored by Sons of Kent by any stretch of the imagination. I just really like their beer. So I'm just giving props to a quality beer maker. Thanks, Sons of Kent, and keep up the good work. So I guess I'll get into what I did on the weekend. And it was a pretty full weekend, all things considered. So I finished work and I started, Saturday was my last shift. I'm on vacation this week. So I did a 4-hour shift Saturday. When I left there, I went home and I got ready. It was the Kent Havoc Club Day. Kent Havoc Rugby Football Club is based out of Chatham. And we were having our very first club day. And if you don't know what a club day is, basically it is all the teams that are under the Havoc umbrella, which is the Little Ruggers, which is from kids from as soon as they can walk to, I think, teenagers. I'm not quite sure of the age bracket. That's when they start to learn the great game that is rugby. They start learning fundamentals and just running around, being healthy, learning camaraderie and teamwork, and just getting out there and learning about rugby. We also had our U15 girls side playing a match, and the U15 is, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe this is the first or second year that they've organized and got together for an actual Havoc Club team for the under 15 girls. So our growth in this area of rugby, especially women's rugby and female rugby, women's rugby in general, is taking off like a rocket. The world, the female world has embraced rugby. They're getting an opportunity to get out there and play this game. And the women are just phenomenal at this game. They love this game. And if you ever get a chance to go watch one of the U15 girls games or our senior women's team go play, bring your family, bring your daughters if you have any, and show them girls can play rugby just as well as the boys. And some of them, like we have a potential Olympian from Chatham, Brianna Nichols. She came up in the system here, and this is just goes to show how I don't know what am I looking for, the potential for somebody to put the time and effort in, they can make it and be an Olympian in this sport. It's such a small number of people are playing this game right now. Especially the women, have a legitimate shot at becoming an Olympian if you are willing to put forth that effort to make it happen. Okay, back to a club day. So the U15 girls played, and we were supposed to have one more. The senior women's were supposed to play before the senior men's, but there was a scheduling issue, and that got pushed into Sunday. So the senior men's, the Havoc senior men's side was supposed to play the Bruce County Barbarians. Unfortunately, Bruce County, there was issues with their club, and a couple of their players actually got heat stroke, and could not make the trip. It's a long trip from Bruce County. It's about 3-4 hour drive, and these guys, the Havoc made the trip, and we traveled to and from each field. But I understand, Bruce, they just ran out of players. So the funny aside, one of the Bruce players was already on the road, and he was more than halfway here. Then he gets a phone call from his club saying, yeah, the game's canceled. So he had to make a decision if he wanted to continue on or turn around. But he decided, I'm already halfway here. He drove the rest of the way to Chatham, and he made it to the Havoc field just before the game started. Now, instead of not playing, we already had the Havoc already had a referee assigned by Rugby Ontario, and the referee was there, and he's going like, what do you guys want to do? So what the Havoc did is they split the squad. They had a quick draft, and they decided they were just going to play against themselves. Now, they didn't play the whole field, they just played width-wise. And to protect themselves from the inevitable injuries that could come from an inter-squad game, they decided they weren't going to do rucks, which made it so much safer, because a ruck can be a very violent episode on the field. So they decided it was much safer for everybody just to take that aspect out of the game. Now, the player from Bruce, he shows up, he gets drafted. He's now playing. He put on one of the yellow or the red Havoc jerseys, and he goes out there and plays. That is the spirit of camaraderie that is fostered in rugby. Like I said, he could have just turned around and went home, but he knew he was going to get a game. And he actually, after the game, he was named the black and white, that's the Bruce colors, the black and white player of the match, or man of the match. Now, they also had the red man of the match and the yellow man of the match. So it turned into a very fun day of just an inter-squad competition. And make no mistake, even though they were playing their own teammates, the Havoc played hard. Every single one of those players out on the field wanted to win. And they did their best to make sure that happened for either the red jerseys or the yellow jersey. I can't really recall what team came out on top. I believe it was the yellows. Yeah, we'll go with yellow. I'm sure somebody's going to correct me. But it was, listen, me and Mags and Taryn sat basically in the end zone of the field and watched them play back and forth. It was fine, fun, good, clean, hard playing rugby. And like I said, if you've never gone out to watch a rugby game, if you know there's one in your area, go watch. I bet you'll become a fan after watching one game. Now, excuse me, I need to wet my whistle a little bit here. Okay, so after the game, the club retired to the place where their after game festivities always take place, as at the local Legion here in Chatham. And I get a kick out of it when it said if you get the visiting team usually stays for the beer up afterwards, because it's just a social event where we get together and so we have a meal and have a few drinks and talk and laugh and get to know each other a little bit better. It always is just a kick when you get two full rugby clubs that just finished pounding the crap out of each other show up at a place where some people don't understand what's going on. Then you get 30 to 40 ruffians, for lack of a better term, show up being loud and stinking and drinking beer like somebody's trying to take it away from them. A lot of the people like at the Legion are kind of used to us now, and it's always fun to interact with some of the people that are in there, because they'll see all of us come in. And I keep saying us because I'm not part of the team, but I did play for the Havoc, so I guess I could consider myself alumni. So I'll continue to call it us, because they feel I am still part of the team, even though I haven't played in a long time. So we go to the beer up. The people that are in the Legion are just tickled to see this band of idiots come running into their place, being loud and singing songs. If you get close to a rugby beer up afterwards, inevitably songs will start to be sung. And it is, well, some of the songs have gotten us kicked out of a few other establishments around town. It is just, some of them can be pretty raunchy, and so we're not exactly subtle when we come to singing our songs. It's just, we're just having fun. And everybody understands if a manager of a place comes by and says, you guys need to knock it off, we will. We've got no problem policing ourselves. Like I said, if somebody's getting a little out of hand, we'll take care of it ourselves. We don't want to cause problems for people in and around the place that we're going for our social. So we tend to keep to ourselves as best we can, and that, like most times people will come over and they'll go, who are you guys? Like, what's going on? And then we'll explain that we're the Havoc Rugby Club, and this is our after game social. And a lot of people are like, the other team's with you? And we're going, oh, absolutely. That's a lot of that aspect of sport is lost on a lot of other teams or a lot of other games, where the two teams don't socialize afterwards for whatever reason. But rugby, it is so important that both clubs socialize afterwards. There has never ever been a fight between clubs at a social that I have ever seen. On the field is different. Like there's been a few punch-ups I've been involved in, but afterwards at the social, that stuff is not acceptable at all. And if you start a fight at a social, you'll be facing harsh penalties from your club, and that stuff is just not acceptable. I liken it to, if you've got enough energy after 80 minutes of rugby to start a fight at a social, you didn't play hard enough during the game, and you need to reassess how you want to play this game. So the Legion loves us. We love going to the Legion. We just having a great time there. Afterwards, there was another social at one of the team members' houses, which turned into just a fantastic time. It was a big backyard, and just I don't want to say too much because I don't want to incriminate some of those that might listen to this show, but there was a kiddie pool involved, and wrestling, and a trampoline. Then somewhere along the line, just a massive thunderstorm rolled in, and instead of canceling it, the majority of us just stood around outside. We're going it's just water. I'm already wet. So we just continued to party. And then the storm passed, and we continued to party a little bit more. So if you can find yourself and involve yourself in a rugby club, you're going to have a great time. They're a great bunch of people, and they just, especially speaking for the Havoc, we are such a community-minded organization, always trying to help Chatham-Kent, promote Chatham-Kent, be ambassadors when we go to visit other cities to play other clubs. We're representing Chatham-Kent, and we have to be on our best behavior because we're representing our city as well as our club. So we try to be as well behaved and good ambassadors as we can. And I think they said we're running into a situation where we need the cities to help us. There's an issue with the pitch that we play on, and said we might be losing it, and we've approached the city, and we said we need your help. And we're we need a new place to play rugby. And they've not really been responsive to what we've asked of them. We're not asking for much. We just would like a little help from the city, and the city just does not seem interested at all in helping us out. It's kind of disheartening that we try to represent ourselves as best we can, and the city's just meh, so what? We got other games, we got other teams, we got other sports. They're just help us, because we're a developing club, and we might lose all the development that we've started if we don't have a field to play on. So we're trying to find support, and we're hoping to find it sometime very soon, because it's getting down to the wire, and we need to know if we're going to have a place to play next year, or they said the team might collapse because there's no place to play. This is an ongoing thing. We desperately looking for support somehow to make this game come true, to get to get a place to play for the little ruggers, the girls, the developing girls sides, the developing women's sides, and trying to develop a junior boys side to go along with the senior men's side. So there's a lot riding on us finding a new field. We just need to find that field. Now, so basically that's Saturday. So I'm kind of I will ask if you could spare a minute. Maybe if you live in Chatham, contact one of your city council or somebody in your area, or email Mayor Kniff and try and say, help the Havoc. They said we're looking for help and we're not really getting much response. So if you could put a little pressure on our city council, that would be really appreciated. Now Sunday rolls around and we have to pack up everything my oldest daughter Taryn owns, because she asked for and received a transfer for her job as a services supervisor for Staples Canada. She got her job here in Chatham, and then she wanted to transfer to London, Ontario. So that we were kind of expecting that to happen maybe August, September. Well, little did we know that timetable got pushed forward a little bit by about 2 weeks after she asked. So she got a phone call from her district manager saying, yeah, your transfer came in, you start the first week of, I think it was the July 20th week. And we're just like, what? Yeah, okay. So luckily, they said her boyfriend already had an apartment in London because he is going to school there. So she was just going to move in with him, and it was a surprise that we weren't ready for. We knew it was coming, we just didn't know it was coming that fast. So we packed up all of her stuff, threw it in the van, and we drove to London. And it was just one of those things where we needed a little more lead time. Would have been nice, and to get everything organized and get everything packed up well, because we ended up having to leave some of her stuff here, which translates into another van load of stuff that has to get moved to London at some point in time. But such is the case. It's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. So just getting her squared away and situated was interesting. But she's settled now, and I believe she's already got a couple days in under her belt at the new place. And I said I talked to her yesterday, or just shot her a text yesterday, and she said everything seems to be going fine. So that's good news. I'm really happy about that she's getting a chance to spread her wings and do her own thing as an actualized adult. And I'm happy that she's doing very well with her job at Staples, and so much so that they are kind of looking at promoting her. I don't know when or what's going on, but she is being trained and groomed for bigger and better things with that company, which is fantastic, because Staples is a great company to be working for, and I can't say I couldn't be happier for how she's developing into a smart woman about her work career, and she knows what she wants to do, and she's getting it done. And I look forward to watching her develop and move through that company as best she can, and who knows where she can end up with it. yeah, like this is one of the things that I've expressed to all my kids is just like you have to work hard to be successful. Nobody's going to hand it to you, and she's worked hard to get where she's at, and I just want to see where it goes from here. So good luck, Taryn. Good luck, and cheers. So my week of vacation has started, and basically it's not really a vacation, more of a staycation. Later this week, I said me and Mags were just going to go to Niagara Falls for a night, 2 days and a night. We're just going to go wander around there and do all the touristy crap that everybody does when they go to Niagara Falls. I trying to figure out what we want to do is just like, I don't know, what do you want to do? It's like, I don't know, what do you want to do? So like we've decided that the Butterfly Conservatory is high on the list of things that we want to check out. We went there years and years ago with the kids, and it was always something that I said it was fun, and I just liked hanging out in that place with all those butterflies flying around. It was just a very comfortable, relaxed place. Another thing that I think we were looking at is taking a ride on the Maid of the Mist. I have never been on the Maid of the Mist. I've gone to the falls a bunch of times when I was a kid with my parents. Most of the time it was in winter because my brother played travel hockey, and I think it was called a Silver Stick tournament in Welland or something. So we'd stay in Niagara Falls. But nobody wants to go on the Maid in the Mist in the middle of January or February, whenever this tournament was. And basically it was a ghost town when we went. We've gone a couple times with the kids in the past, but it was just kind of walking on Clifton Hill, doing some of the arcade stuff, but we never really did a lot of the big things, like the Maid of the Mist and stuff like that. So this time around, it's just going to be me and Mags. We're going to go do the things that we wanted to do, and I don't know, I've never really gone to the Niagara Falls as a quote unquote tourist with no plan at all. So it's just going to, whichever way the wind blows us is basically what we're going to be doing when we get there. I know there was a couple other things. I thought there was like Bird Kingdom I wanted to check out. It's just, I think it's like a 3-story open air atrium with birds flying around all over the place. Sure, I'm in. I've seen the building a couple times, but I've never stepped foot in it. I just want to see what it's all about. And that's basically all we're going to do, is just go out there, wander around, have fun, probably sit and look at the falls for however long, just whatever we feel like doing, that's what we're going to do. We've got no timetable, we've got no idea what we're going to do. We're just going to get there, and we're going to park the car, and we're just going to wander around and see the sights. What else is going on? That's about it. Well, okay. One of the things I was trying to get off of social media for a long time. I was getting too wrapped up in it, or too absorbed in it. So what I ended up doing was taking off all the social media from my cell phone, where I would, at work, where I used Facebook, Twitter, Instagram the most, Messenger the most. And it was just mindless, just scrolling. Nothing, like I would see the same messages hour after hour after hour after hour. Nothing changed. And it got to the point where I was feeling frustrated. And I just wanted, I had to change something. And I used to be a voracious reader. And I had noticed that my attention span has just gone completely to shit. It's just, it wasn't there anymore. And I felt very deprived of and disappointed in myself that I had let myself get to this point. So I took all my social media off and I picked up books again. And when I didn't have the distraction of constantly looking at my phone, I developed my attention span again, and my love of reading came back. And I was pouring through books. I would pick it up, bam, done. Like I was averaging like a book every 3 to 4 days. Now, Taryn, before she moved, she asked me, have you ever read the Harry Potter novels? And I had not. I remember watching some of the movies when they first came out, but I never really paid too much attention to the Harry Potter universe. Well, she goes, why don't you read the books? And I thought, this sounds like a good idea. So I tore through the first 3 books like they were nothing. Like Taryn told me, she goes, the first 3 books will be easy reads. They're thin and they're written for a younger audience. Okay, this is good. So then she gave me book 4. I believe it was Prisoner of Azkaban. And this one turned into a monster. It was almost 800 pages long. It was just, I don't know if J.K. Rowling started to get paid by the word, but she started telling the story and just would not end. And I was fine with that. It was a fantastic story. And about 3/4 of the way through that book, this was, I think, probably around the start of July, I set a challenge for myself. I challenged myself to read all the Harry Potter novels before the end of summer. And it was daunting because Azkaban is a thick book. And it was just like, I may have bitten off a little bit more than I can chew right now. So it was, I got through book 4, year 4, and I started on Order of the Phoenix. And this was a little bit thinner, but just as good as The Prisoner of Azkaban. And I tore through that, and it turned into like a legit page turner for me. There was times where I'd read mostly at work, and like I said, there was times where like I got so deep into the story that one of my supervisors would come by and said like, hey, you need to do this. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I had to kind of snap back out of reality or back into reality from the story to go do my work. But it was like I would do my work as fast as I can and get back to the story. That's how engrossed I was in the story. Now, I finished Order of the Phoenix early last week, and I went right into The Half-Blood Prince. This is now book 6. So I am really legitimately close to my goal that I set out for myself, and I'm proud of myself that to set that goal, and like that the finish line for that goal is like within reach. So I'm rather happy with that. And for just not paying attention to the Potterverse, I am finding these stories are very engrossing and very well written, and I don't know why I didn't read them when they first came out. They're very good stories, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't get into it earlier. But it said Mike late to the party, Lutz, yet again. So I'm catching up, and I'm really digging it. And I do know, after I finish reading all the books, Taryn has talked about doing a Harry Potter movie marathon. And I'm kind of interested to see how different the movies are from the books. I know I said you're comparing apples and oranges. Everybody knows the books are always better because of the detail that they can give, the time they can tell the story, whereas the movies are so compressed that it's not easy to tell the same story. You just can't. So I'm looking forward to to note the differences in this and to do that marathon with Taryn. It was just one of those things that is kind of what's driving me. I want to be able to do that thing with her. Now, with the launch of this podcast, the Dispatches from Shedquarters, it kind of knocked something loose in me that I had a block, a writer's block for a long time. When I was managing editor for the World of Myth magazine, worldofmyth.com, theworldofmyth.com, I would be able to edit stories that were sent in to us, and then if there was a shortfall somewhere, I would be able to write a quick story to kind of fill in the gap. After a while, I just couldn't do that. I couldn't write anymore. For whatever reason, nothing. I would sit and I would stare at the keyboard and nothing would come out. And I just okay, I guess I'm done. Maybe I'm done writing. I don't have any more words. Maybe my stories are all dried up. Well, that's not true at all. I ended up writing early this week. Yes, Monday. My first day of vacation. Sunday night, I was contacted by Stephanie Barty. She's the new editor-in-chief of the World of Myth magazine. She goes, Mike, I need a story. And I was like, well, contact one of your other authors. I don't have anything. She goes, I need you to write a comedy. I'm like, comedy is not my strong suit. Not by a long shot. She goes, I need it by tomorrow. And it's like, you're not hearing me. She goes, I don't care what you say. I need this story. You need to write it. So it was Steph's boot in the ass about having her needing this story for the magazine. I don't know what happened. Excuse me. But Monday morning, I got my iPad and my keyboard, and I wrote a story. And I submitted it. And for all intents and purposes, it's being well received. I'm shocked. Really, I'm shocked at that people like my story. And it was just something that I rattled off at the top of my head. And maybe I've got something left in me. I am trying to figure this out. So between this podcast and some of the other things that I'm trying to start back up, maybe I can write again. I don't know. I'm just playing it by ear. So, but I guess, yeah, so I'm just kind of thinking out loud right now, and it's just not very interesting for everybody else. So, again, I want to thank everybody for listening to the first podcast. I was not expecting the response that I got. It was humbling to see the number that popped up on the very first day. Excuse me. And I want to thank everybody that has taken the time to listen to this. And if you want to drop me a line, you can email me at mike.lutz@gmail.com. Oh, sorry, mike.lutz52@gmail.com. Just drop me a line if you want to congratulate me, or if you got feedback you want to give me feedback. I want to know what you think about the show and things that I can do to change it and improve it. Yeah, that's it. So, again, thank you for listening. So, that's it for this week's episode. This is Mike Lutz, and you're listening to Dispatches from Shedquarters.
It's probably going to be the social event of the season.
You hate people.
But I love gatherings. Isn't it ironic?